how these randoms keep getting jobs. Don't worry about it. I'm going to show you. I can't wait to show you. I love it. I love it. Go.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Not Bland Show. I'm your host, Dujane Bland. Man, we got a great show today. Of course, you know we are powered by Everything Nitro and SportsJourney.com. And man, NFL free agency has been something else. And we're going to start with the team that we cover here at Sports Journey, the Washington Commanders. We're going to bring on the guy who is the host of the Urban Sports Scene and the host of All Burgundy and Gold Everything, my guy, Wole. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, DJ? How you doing, my man?
I'm doing good, doing good. Great offseason so far as this free agency thing goes. It's looking like other unvalued positions are now valued all of a sudden.
I like how you phrased that.
The Washington Commanders made some moves, didn't come out blazing, but they made some moves. What are your feelings on the Commanders' free agency signings?
I like them. I think as a whole, in terms of a process of building a winner, not like next year, but building something in terms of, for the future. I think they're doing a good job of the guys they're bringing in, because I've always said, like, for certain positions, and we'll talk about it, but for certain positions, they've signed some vets, some young players with some vets that can help younger players that are already on this roster, and also they provided depth. They didn't overpay people. Yes. They kind of gauged the market, for some of the guys who did want to get paid. So I think they did a good job. I think at the end of the day, when you look at these free agent signings, you can tell that the importance of this team will be in the draft. It won't be in free agency.
Yeah, I agree. Starting with the linebacking core, it's vastly improved in several signings. This has been a spot on this defense that has been the Achilles heel, and really if you want to be honest, football guys being honest,
keep 100, yeah.
This linebacking core has been the death of really the secondary and its front.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, you signed, the cat from Lavu, Frankie Lavu.
Yeah,
love that dude.
Lavu, yeah.
A grinder, a guy who's just a flat out baller. And big importance of the Bobby Wagner signing as well.
I love that.
He's a London Fletcher to me.
Yes.
And I really do feel like with these signings, this is something that can help this team compete right away. I think that's the key word there, compete right away.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm with you. I think it does. I think it helps this team compete. And it's something I've been clamoring since last year, man. I've been wanting Bobby Wagner on this team for so long. It's not even funny. I'm dead serious. It felt like he's a player that especially when you're bringing in younger linebackers like a Jamin Davis, right?
Yeah.
A guy that you do want, you want this person to take it to the next step, but you don't have anybody look to your left or your right to say, all right, who can teach me? Who can make me a better football player? Yeah, you would hope that your coaching staff would, but they didn't. But it's something about having a player on the field that's done it before and done it at a high level that can help you, get to a level that you want to be at. And I just think that Bobby Wagner, which makes him the ideal person, just like you mentioned London, he's a guy that's older, but is still balling. And you will always listen to a guy who is still doing it, not a guy who's like is long in the tooth, right?
Deion Sanders.
A guy who is still doing it, who's probably still one of the best linebackers in the game. And you can make the argument in free agency, he was the best linebacker available in free agency. Forget the age. We all do this ageism thing. Like, oh, everyone's too old or whatever. But at the end of the day, like he, in terms of productivity, he is there. Like there are not that many linebackers who are still playing in the NFL today. Forget the age,
Right.
that are better than Bobby Wagner.
Yeah, I agree. Down for down, sideline to sideline.
Yep.
He's gonna help these guys tackle, be more sure tackles. I like the addition of Dante Fowler Jr. as
Yep.
well. You had Farrell come in and be signed. There's a lot of pieces here that kind of round out. This is exactly what things were missing on the defense last year, and these rounds out these positions, gives you some guys that can be looked to, that these young guys can look to for, to be taught, to learn from, to learn how to win. And it lets you be able to build around and kind of let your young pups grow up, speak, so that when that time comes for them to hang up cleats, you have somebody to come in and just plug and play.
Yeah, I just think that again, when you're looking at this makes it better. And like you're talking about, like what the old regime did wrong with their roster, right?
Yeah.
Like now you're bringing players that you need, positions that you need. This linebacker group is better. Like you mentioned Lavu, like what he can do with, like, because he's balls to the wall, right? He's that typical linebacker who's out there ready to wreck stuff up. He's going sideline to sideline. He's about creating damage, creating havoc. Like, when have you seen this Washington Commanders team try to like really identify that type of player? You know what I mean? Like, that hasn't been a thing. And I'm not saying, like, sorry, let me correct myself. The Ron Rivera, Jack Del Rio era, like, try to identify that player. You haven't. You didn't. Excuse me. And just to see that what this regime is doing, they're getting guys who are going to go all out, play with effort, play with a certain mentality. They all have a theme, right? And and I feel like, and it is a theme of just playing for the next man, playing, I say reckless, but playing with a control recklessness, right? Have that mentality, playing with the motor. Like, all these guys have it. And then you add in the vet Bobby Wagner. I just think, like, I like what they did. I like what they did at safety, bringing in Chin.
Oh yes,
that was a good signing, because again, like, and they lost Cam Curl to the LA Rams, and it's gonna hurt. But you got a guy arguably that may be better than Cam Curl. I'm not to be like throwing shade or anything, but arguably could be better than Cam Curl. And you didn't have to franchise and give him $13 million that year, or $14 million in that year. Or even $10 million. Maybe Cam was trying to get Cam. Cam ended up getting 2 years, $13 million. So it wasn't a lucrative deal like I think he was looking for. But you got Chin in a cheap deal, and now you got an opportunity to see what you can roll out there on defense with the Dan Quinn, who we've talked. I mean, everybody who's known Dan Quinn's resume from Seattle to Atlanta to Dallas, like, he brings the best out of his secondary, and also that linebacker unit. So if I'm watching, I'm excited about what the signings did for them on the defense side of football.
Yeah, and one thing about this team, they're not light in the butt cheeks like the Cowboys were in the front.
Yeah,
that's why they got beat against Green Bay. Well, it had nothing to do with Dan Quinn, and jokes aside.
Yeah,
it had nothing to do with Dan Quinn. All season long, I've been preaching this team liked speed. They like to cut across your face, hit the gaps, and hit them fast. That way, by the time you're even, they're leaving.
Yeah.
But against big offensive lines, they got pushed around because they're too small. And this is the difference between that defense and this one. There's some hefty brothers up front. They ain't gonna be getting pushed around. So I'm really interested to see how well things start to come together for this defense now that they've added all these pieces to it. Because, man, if it's anything like it has been shown over his tenure, it's going to be one of those. We're going to be bringing out the capital punishment crew again for a name for this defense, I believe.
Oh, that'd be great, man. Like, I feel like this, and we'll talk about. I guess we'll talk about the other signings, but I feel like this defense is definitely going to hold. Is set up to hold down, like the whole hold down this whole team.
Yeah,
Because offense, I don't know. That scares me. The offense scares me, but the defense, I feel like, is in position to hold down this team. And like you mentioned, you still got the big boys from Alabama. You signed some players on the end. Which I still think still question marks, to be honest with you, because everything's different when you have to be the guy on the end. But I like the linebackers, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear this. I do like the secondary. I like what I see in the secondary, and that includes the young boys. That includes the young boys. So
yeah, they will be used properly this time.
Yes.
Not put in positions that they're not capable or not is not the way that they're or should be used. And this confusion will be gone because it'll be very clear cut of what they need to do. On the offensive side of the ball, I like the fact that they kept Jameson. I know a lot of people kind of scoffed.
I liked it.
Yeah, scoffed at the Zach Ertz deal.
I like that one,
and I liked it. And Austin Eckler as well. He adds a different dynamic at the running back position. He is definitely a guy who is very shaky and elusive, catching the ball out of the backfield. He can run. He's just not he's not a guy who's going to run between the tackles, but that ain't what you got him for.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's a very good blocker if necessary. If you're going to put him in on third down, he can pick up blocks, something that has been missing, as far as on third down, and kind of hard when your offensive line was the lookout gang too. So I do like the offensive lineman that they brought in with Nick and Tyler. I think that is two pieces that's going to help out with some of the pieces that they already had. And I know it wasn't very many, but they did have some pieces on the offensive line worth keeping, and they did that. And adding these guys is going to really round it out. Now you just got to go out and get a few in the draft. And I think we're going to be decent. I know people don't like the Mariota signing. And
I don't either.
It's a little, I know for some it's a little unnerving. But he's been solid wherever he's been at. And I think the biggest thing here is he's going to speed up the process for the young pup that they decide to draft with the number 2 overall pick. And I will run right in here to Christian Diggs' question. Drake May or Jaden Daniels? He says, I'm cool with either. Your thoughts?
I mean, I think that's the correct thought process. You should be cool with either. I mean, I'm more of a Drake May guy. That's me though. Everybody, I'm learning on X because I'm on X a lot. That everybody has their own little gang. You know what I mean? It's like Crips and Bloods. It's crazy. Everybody has their own little gang. Like who they with, and if you don't like that person, you riding hard for that person.
Yeah.
To the point where you're gonna be overly negative on the other person. So I'm on the side of saying, like, with this situation, whatever they do, I'm just gonna believe it until I see it I'll believe it. I'll see it on the field, and we see it in practice. My concern is for either quarterback, and to your question, when you're talking about Mariota, is that if either quarterback is struggling, they're in their rookie year, which it happens. That's my thing. Like, I expect these quarterbacks to struggle. I expect, because that's my expectation. And we all see CJ Stroud, and we're like, oh man, like he's going to be the next CJ Stroud.
That's the outlier.
It is the outlier. Just like Robert Griffin III, if you don't want to hear it, like he was an outlier in year one. So was Andrew Luck. They were outliers in year one. You don't like Peyton Manning struggled in his first year. That happens. There are like your favorite Drew Brees struggled his first year, and he's a second round pick. He struggled his first year. Yeah. Like your quarterback, your favorite quarterback struggled in year one. John Elway was horrible in year one. So was Troy Aikman. Some of your quarterbacks that you adore weren't great off the rip. No. So like my issue is for this fan base who was starving for a winner or starving for some type of great play. Are you going to really feel comfortable if your rookie quarterback is struggling and you have to throw out there Marcus Mariota to play quarterback? And that's my thing. Like, I'm not saying that you have to bring in an awesome quarterback, but Mariota is very limited in what he does as a passing quarterback. And we talking about throwing the football. Like you thought you were angry that what Sam Howell's doing throwing the football, that Terry McLaurin and some of these other or some of our receivers. What do you think if Jaden Daniels or Drake May, if they're struggling a little bit, which is possible, like, and if they do struggle, we shouldn't be negative on them anyway. We shouldn't be. Just like the old boy in Carolina and Bryce
Young.
Yep. Like he struggled with year one. I wouldn't be negative on him either, because that's just year one. Rookies tend to struggle. That's what happens. But in this situation, like if they struggle, they roll out Mariota. I'm not happy with that. Like as a guy who covers, who's a content creator for this team, and also a fan of the team. Like I'm not into that. Like I would rather have a guy who I know, if anything, they can throw the football. Like that, I know that Terry McLaurin could get some yardage, because y'all gonna be really mad. I'm serious. Like some of y'all, if them two quarterbacks don't cut it, like in terms of being able to play it at play 17, like how many games? Like 17 games this year. Yeah. Like you're gonna be pissed off if Mariota's the quarterback, and if you're pro Terry, you're gonna be heated.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I appreciate your question, Christian.
Thanks, Christian. I appreciate that.
I'm a little nervous about that as well. Mm-hmm. I think he has all the smarts in the world. But my problem is that it's his passing game. Yeah, we know he's very good at deciphering and being able to run the ball there. He's a Ghostbuster reference.
I'm just saying, man.
I love it. I'm not okay with that. I have a gut feeling there's going to be another quarterback brought in later, maybe after the UFL concludes. Okay. And not saying any of those quarterbacks are going to be absolutely great either. Mm-hmm. But I think there's going to be another quarterback brought in the room. But I mean, with that money that they're giving him, he's gonna stay.
Yeah, of course. They gave him a good deal. Like,
he's gonna stay.
Yeah.
So it is a little unnerving in that department. But what I do think here, whether it's Drake May or Jaden Daniels, first of all, I'll say there's a lot of things I like about Drake May. Mm-hmm. Drake May, to me, gives me the ability to think that he can be pocket first, but he still has the ability to run.
Yeah.
And the only problems that I've had, and he's a young quarterback, still learning. The arm is there. There's wide open shots that if he just drops it in, his man easily goes in, that he missed long, and I mean badly with those balls. And the comeback route that you want to throw that back shoulder for the first down, he throws a lot of those in the dirt. Now we're being critical over a couple games here.
Yeah.
So, that those things can be fixed. To say he's not top three, he's definitely top three. And I would not be mad about it. Jaden Daniels, I get RG3 vibes.
I do. I get that.
And I say that with the fact that he can throw the ball. He throws a nice ball. But the second he sees an opening, he gone.
Yeah.
But he throws some nice balls a little bit. I think in some cases they were a little bit better than Drake's, but I think you can slice that down the middle. I really don't think you can go wrong with either one of these quarterbacks, to be honest with you. I'm just a little unnerved that you're going to pick another NC quarterback when you let that NC quarterback go to Seattle. But at the same time, those two quarterbacks also are different.
I think different.
Drake May is better than Sam.
Yeah, and they there's a reason why Sam left out of Carolina at the time he did. They rushed him out for Drake May.
Yes.
They rushed him out for Drake May.
So you see this question here?
Yeah, it's talent
long-term predictions, pick
fit over. All right, I'll put it this way. I want my quarterback. I'm gonna say this again. I want my quarterback. I know I got you, Taj. I want my quarterback to be able to play in multiple systems. That I will say.
Yeah.
The reason why I say that is because we've seen it here, we've seen it in multiple places that hey, your coach may not be the same dude, bro.
Yep.
Your offense may not be the same offense. So I would prefer, you want your coach to coach up to that person's skill set and their fit. That's automatic. But also, I want my quarterback to be able to do multiple things, to be in multiple systems. Because when I know a quarterback's able to be in multiple systems, then I know I got that one. If I have a quarterback who's only playing one system, then I know I just have a quarterback who's just really good at this system. So if my quarterback can play multiple systems, you know what I'm saying, in terms of playing the position of quarterback, not playing the position of a high school quarterback, playing the position of a quarterback.
Right.
I want my quarterback to be able to do multiple things. Meaning that if he has to be in the pocket, he's good in throwing in the pocket. If he has to play some read option, he's good enough to do read option. He can do both. He can do all of it. If he can do all of it, I'm cool with it. If he's only fitted for a wide open spread offense, then that's not because defense defense will adjust. What happens is defenses will adjust, and you have to change your game. There's a reason why Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. He can do multiple things. He's not just a read option quarterback. He wasn't just a read option quarterback. He stay in the pocket and he can do everything right now. So
and there's a reason why Kyler Murray is Kyler Murray.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
There's a reason why Kyler Murray isn't where he is at right now. Well, how he started, they tailored an offense for him, and as soon as that changed a little bit, he isn't the same Kyler Murray.
Yeah, Taj, it was right. I think you do. I think he's right about that. To me, if we're looking at him, tape versus tape, he is a guy that you could think that is more of your long-term solution in the sense that if Kingsbury gets fired after 1 year, I don't have to go out and find a cat that can run the same offense as or similar.
Yes.
So, you're right about that. It is so different now to be able to have a GM and coaches that, want an individual. That's been a big problem here, right?
Yeah.
Drafting quarterbacks and coaches don't want them, and then do everything they can to try to make them self-destruct, to prove a point of why they don't want this kid. And I do agree. I think either way, it'll be a guy that will be wanted here. But I like both of them.
Yeah.
And I think Daniels can be multifaceted, but when you look at the tape, you can see that Drake May is already tailored for that type. He's already a guy who you can say, yep, that guy can definitely do this and do something else long term.
Yeah, and I want to say this though. So I know I said I'm pro Drake, and Drake isn't a pro system in North Carolina. They run a pro system.
Yeah,
but I want to also give us flowers. Like, if you could tell me you threw out RG3, if you can give me a quarterback who can have lightning in a bottle like RG3, I'd be a fool to say no, right? Like, what stopped RG3 was the injuries and
himself,
and ego. Yeah, right, and an ego.
Yep.
But if you have a quarterback who can give me everything, because I do think he's very comparable to RG3. I don't like the Lamar comparison because I think that Lamar is Vickish. What I mean by that is Lamar is he's got wiggle to his speed. It's not like if you look at anything Jaden Daniels does as a running quarterback, it's more like you said, he's gone, but it's straight line speed. It isn't, and that's how RG3 was. He was straight line speed. Yes. So when he got to that gear, then he was gone. And you saw when RG3 was going sideways, he get stopped. But when he was going downhill, he was gone.
Yep. Once he turned it up, if you let him turn the corner, it was bye-bye.
Yeah. So if you got a system, but again, if you have a system that is conducive to Jaden Daniels, what do you say? What my man say, Taj said?
He said
between both of them. Hope Chicago messes up allows. Yeah, man, Taj, I'm with you, man.
I got a feeling they're gonna piss down their leg. Yeah, I really do.
I hope they let him go.
I got this gut feeling that they really are gonna piss down. They're gonna find a way. These are franchises that find a way to find defeat in the jaws of victory. It's sitting right there.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that they're not gonna do the right thing.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Try guys. Yeah, exactly. They try guys. I think that's what I'm saying. So if I'm gonna go back to my point, if Kingsbury can just do anything that young Shanny was doing here in DC, then yeah, I'd definitely take Daniels. But I don't really, to be honest with you, I don't think Kingsbury is as good as Shanny. So that's my thing. Like, so yeah. Like, and I will say this, I'll add this. Kyler Murray, if you told me between Jaden Daniels and Kyler Murray, who is the more explosive, who is the better prospect coming out of college, regardless of like height, I would have told you it's Kyler Murray. I would tell you it's Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Like, I would take Kyler Murray over Jaden Daniels from what I saw, what he brought out in Oklahoma, because his running was electric. He had he has the wiggle. He is hard. We saw that when we tried to play him. When we played him, that man is a problem, a serious 100% problem. And so a guy like that scares me. And I think that he struggled, and Kingsbury struggled to maintain that with a Kyler Murray. And so that's what scares me about Kingsbury and the Jaden Daniels thing. It's like eventually you struggle with Kyler Murray. And I think that like that is a mismatch in his own right, because Kyler Murray has a rocket of an arm. He's got wiggle. Like, yeah, the height is a problem, obviously, but what he brings with those legs we talk about Jaden Daniels' legs a lot. What Kyler Murray brings with his legs and arm is scary. So, and he and Kingsbury couldn't maintain that. So, like, that's when I think about Kingsbury and people talk about Jaden Daniels, that's what scares me. It's like, okay, year one or year two can be okay, but in terms of longevity, we may have a situation that we're looking at, like we look at Arizona with Kyler Murray.
Right.
And I think Kyler Murray, and no knock on Jaden, Kyler Murray in terms of his physical skill sets, regardless, other than height, is better than Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I agree. I think the difference here for Kingsbury is this. He's got somebody in the building in Brian Johnson that he can kind of, he's pass game coordinator, but he can help him out a little bit. And they together can kind of come up with something. It's also good that he's just an offensive coordinator. He doesn't have to think about being a head coach and trying to run an offense and be an offensive coordinator at the same time. I think some guys like North Turner are great offensive coordinators.
I agree.
They are piss poor coaches. And I just think that from Kingsbury's standpoint, a lot of his hurt was, I think what hurt him is having to do all the other things.
Mm-hmm.
He's not capable of doing that and running an offense at the same time. I think him being able to just focus on that and will be a plus. And I look back at what Dan Quinn did in Atlanta with a bunch of guys that are now, you see them, they got coaching jobs, but he really had an electric staff that first year before he got picked. He got picked to death. He had a great staff, and those guys are able to focus on what they need to do. And now he understands in his second time around, I think he's going to be more of a Joe Gibbs here. And I say that in the sense that Joe was smart because he knew how to delegate. He delegated, and then he made sure that all the little things were being taken care of. He kept in touch with his guys, but he let his guys do the job that they were hired to do. And I think that's what you're going to find here. Joe Witt and him are going to have some ideas to bounce off, but he's going to let Joe Witt do what he needs to do. And he's going to let Kingsbury and Brian Johnson be able to do what they need to do. And I think with that combination, if you got a guy that understands where he needs to be at as a head coach, what he needs to do better, like I said, kind of a Joe Gibbs style, I think these guys can cook. I think Kingsbury can cook with whoever they decide to draft.
No, I agree with that. I think he can. I think he can cook. I think there's definitely, he comes from a great tree in terms of college. I can't speak for the pros, but college with Mike Leach. Like, he was an amazing coach. Passed away, rest in peace. But in terms of what innovative in terms of like this spread thing, like the spread system, and he was one of the guys who, to me, people use his blueprint today. You know what I mean? So does Steve Spurrier too. I'm giving his flowers as well, but he's as an individual, I feel like everybody's kind of used that run and gun mentality, the spread offense out in the league. He's one of the pioneers of it. So I do think he does come from he comes from a tree where he's played under a genius and been under a genius. So I can see that him doing well, but I got to see it though in person. I have to see it though. Like I've seen, like we think of him as a guy who can coach offense, but we've seen that in the college game. We never seen it in the NFL game. Like I know you're talking about him as a head coach. Now he gets to focus on being an offensive guy, but we only seen him as an offensive guy in college. We haven't seen it in the NFL. So that's the thing we have to, because to me, he's still the unknown. Like it's cool to think because we like his pedigree. We like, his what he's all about, like his makeup, right? We like his makeup and where he comes from when we're looking at what he did at Texas Tech, when he was, and what he's done, what he did in as a quarterback, and then even as a coach, and what he did at USC when he's been at SC working with Caleb Williams. Like we see that, and knowing that he's still under that tree with the coach at SC, what's his name? The coach at SC that everybody wants. He went to Oklahoma. Caleb followed him. It is what it is. But it'll come to me later. But they're all under the same umbrella, right? So we automatically think like this guy, like Kingsbury is gonna, like, he should be a good offensive coordinator in the league. Like his tree of his knowledge has helped produce people like Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, and we talk about Patrick Mahomes, like all these, like that tree has helped develop some of the better quarterbacks. Lincoln Riley. That's a
there
Riley.
you go. Yep.
So like anyway, so yeah, they've all like, so to me, that's what that's what we're hoping for. But it's still the unknown. And the main thing's still the unknown because we haven't seen him do this in the program.
Yeah. This is a good question here. Do you think if they draft May, he starts, or do they sit him for a year?
Look, man, Mariota should not be. If Mariota beats out one of these quarterbacks, it's a damn shame. I'm gonna say this right now.
You made a mistake.
Yeah, you made a mistake. I'm gonna keep this a buck.
Yeah, like, I don't see
Mariota is your quarterback. Like that's my problem. Yeah, thanks, man. I finally got it. Mariota is your now. To be fair, Kingsbury was Arizona on him or Kyler Murray. He wanted
combination.
It's a combination. Because Kyler Murray, just like the RG3 thing we talked about, like Kyler Murray definitely deserves responsibility, but
he gets in his own way.
Kingsbury is a part of that too as well.
Yep.
But back to it, like if Mariota is starting, that is a problem. Like that's why him being the backup is appalling to me. I'm not gonna lie to you. I look at Mariota as like a third string quarterback nowadays. I don't think he's a backup. I know a lot of people are like, oh man, he's definitely. That's why when they got him and they still had Howell, I was like, yeah, Howell shouldn't worry about this. Mariota ain't like, Howell can still be back on Mariota on the roster. That don't mean nothing.
Right.
But yeah, if he's your starter week one, that means you failed. Like not to say that you failed year one. Yes. Don't put it that way, because I don't think like a rookie can get better and be awesome in year two, year three. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm not saying it's over. Like, look at my man Josh Allen in Buffalo. If you looked at him as rookie year, you would have said this man they messed up. Like you were like he was from small school. You'd be like, yo, they messed, like that's a bad. That was the one though. That is a bust ready to happen. And now he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So I'm like, Mariota's your quarterback. You're not gonna be happy year one. And we know how Washington fans are.
Oh yeah, they gonna burn the house down.
Like year one, they're gonna be pissed.
Yeah, they're gonna be pissed. Yeah. I don't see it. I do also think that my theory here is they traded Sam Howell. They didn't want him to be behind his friend.
So you think they're definitely getting Drake May? That's what
I think there's a big possibility.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking now.
Why would you trade Sam if you're getting Jaden? I'd rather have Sam as the backup
to Jaden, right?
And it doesn't mean the guy doesn't have an opportunity. You're one play away from being the starter.
Yeah.
So I think they made it clear they have an idea that they probably are going to go May. They didn't want Sam to be behind his friend,
his best friend,
and then sent him somewhere in good faith, somewhere where he has the potential to once again start again, because we know time is of the essence. The clock's ticking on Geno Smith.
Of course, yeah, definitely. I like Geno.
I like him, but the clock's ticking.
It's the truth. It's the truth.
So I think that's what they're doing. I have a big hunch that it probably is Drake May over Jaden, for the simple fact that if you were picking Jaden, you would have kept Hal. You definitely ain't getting Mariota.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
you know what I'm saying?
Well, it's funny how you say DJ, because like it's funny that because when they signed Mariota, the talk was, oh, everyone's getting. I mean, this team's getting Daniels because, well, he's the same as, and that's an insult. Like an insult to Jaden Daniels. Like, it's the same as Mariota. That's an insult to Jaden Daniels. Like you say, Mariota and him are the same. But I was saying it was bad for any Q.
I think Sam got a bad rap.
Yeah.
And I will say this too. I think there's a little bit of I don't want to marry myself to this guy. And I like the fact that, okay, so if you weren't going to do anything with him, then you did him a solid by letting him go somewhere where he can potentially start.
Yeah.
I don't think it was anything, them being straightforward with him and not giving him the runaround, I think is what I liked about.
I like that. I did like that. Like you just let him go. In other years they would play around with people.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm just like, in my opinion, like we'll see how this pans out. I'm not a big fan of like Mariota's starting quarterback. Let's keep it a buck. If they draft Daniels, the Sands fan will be calling for him every week. Yeah, I agree with that. Like they probably would. That too. That Taj, that's true.
It's gonna be a Kirk Cousins type.
But you know what, Taj?
Here.
They going look. Mariota. You know what? Mariota's a backup. No one's gonna be calling for Mariota. You're right.
Nope.
No one's gonna be calling for Mariota. So
that's good too.
That's
no
good
pressure
too.
on this young kid. I mean, you come on, man.
I'll give you that. So I will give you that. Like I won't say the top. Like there's like how like I'm a Howell supporter, and I wouldn't call for Howell like unless he needs to. Nah, that's trash.
Nah, I don't think so.
No, Tom, don't do
that Heineke thing is something else, boy.
No, they still talk about him.
Strong.
No, don't do that. The Heineke hive is
they still think he can start.
It's on Taylor Swift level.
Yes.
The Heineke hive is on Taylor Swift level.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? About the system in Kingsburg, that is why they got Mariota. Yeah, I know they got Mariota, but it doesn't I'm not saying
he ain't there.
The Mariota system, like this is the thing. Mariota, just because it's spread doesn't mean it's the same system. You know what I mean? Like Mariota is good in under the what's my man's system? Mariota is good under the I want to say he is good under the Chip Kelly system.
Yes.
No one runs Chip Kelly system.
Yes.
No one runs the Chip Kelly system. That's what he's good at. He's good at the Chip Kelly system.
That's garbage.
Yeah, and also like is Jaden Dan they're spread, but I don't like it's not the same system. It's not the same. It's like LSU doesn't run. All right, so spread, I mean it's still spread, but it's not the same system. You know what I mean? Like what LSU runs, they don't run the same thing as USC. USC and LSU run a different system.
Yeah. And
that's where Kingsbury, that's his system. It's what you see at USC. Yes, you know what I mean? And everybody's spread is just different. Like that's why, like LSU, they run a spread. Jay Daniels was a better throwing quarterback for them compared to what they usually have. And also, they always have weapons on the outside, so it kind of works for them. Yeah, man, Taylor Swift. There is, man. They Taylor Swift like, man. They are.
Yeah.
Last time was good. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like he ain't. Look, man. The Titans tried to make him good, and I felt bad. I almost said Daniels might be better right out of the gate, but May I think will be better too. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
that's my thought process.
Well, tell us where we can find you at and what you got coming up.
Oh man, y'all can find me on X at. You see it right there at Wole_USS. You can find the Urban Sports Scene on Facebook. Just search the Urban Sports Scene. We're on X at Urban Sports Scene. It's kind of spelled funny, but just search Urban Sports. It'll be there. Also, we're on IG at Urban Sports Scene. We just started TikTok, so we got Urban Sports Scene TikTok. Just started. I'm trying to get used to that. I'm trying to get my niece to teach me about TikTok because I'm kind of old now.
You and me both.
Also, I'm trying, but pretty much that's it. We got. So I'm sorry. We on podcast platforms as well. And if we got a show tomorrow night live at 8:00. We're going to talk about the Commanders' free agent moves as well. Also, we will have a show in the afternoon, probably I'm going to say 3:00, but y'all see something on X. 3:00, talking about the NCAA tournament. It's going to be a live show. Ray and I, we're going to do the darn thing. So we're going to talk about the NCAA tournament. We'll make we're going to do our brackets online. That's what we're going to live.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
Live. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So me and Ray, we're going to share it. Like, we're going to keep going back and forth. And then, it's a joint bracket, you know what I mean? And then we'll just kind of get at each other. Catch me at Eddie's. My guy, Taj, man. Appreciate you, my dude.
All right, Wole. Thank you, brother.
No problem.
We'll have you back on soon.
Anytime, man.
Later.
Later.
Man, great talking about the Commanders. And I think there's a lot to look forward to. Right now, we're going to have our next guest. He talks NBA for us. We're going to talk a little NFL free agency. We're going to start with the NBA first. It's my guy, Timmy B. What's up,
DJ?
brother?
What's happening? What's good with you?
It's been good, man. I'm having fun. We got March Madness coming up. We're starting to come down the stretch with this NBA playoffs. We're starting to see the seeding and things start to shake out. It's a good time right now in sports.
Yeah, man. We're getting back into the season. Spring is in the air. You see that, and the sports is coming right back into it, man. We're gonna have the March Madness. That's coming up. Of course, you got the Paris Olympics in the summer. Baseball season's coming up. Football season. The draft and everything. These free agents. It's just a frenzy right now, man.
Yeah,
I'm loving that energy that that the sports world is giving us right now, man. We back.
Indeed. I'll start with this. We're talking about the NBA playoffs here, and right now, as it stands, and I will show the bracket here as it stands as of today. Oklahoma City Thunder are number 1 in their conference. The question here is, are they the real deal?
As of right now, on paper, you can say they are. It's you can say they are. 7-game series always is the end game for a lot of these teams that are playing right now. And the way that OKC is playing, they're playing collective ball, good ball. SGA, like I said before, man, walking bucket, man. SGA is playing good, and they're young. The talent, you got Dort over there. You got
Holmgren.
What's his name? Chet Holmgren. Yeah, Chet Holmgren. And they're just playing collective ball, man. And right now they're the real deal, man. You can't take nothing away from them. They're beating teams by a wide margin, and the way that they got going right now, this is looking good into the postseason.
Yeah, I know they're tied as far as wins go with the Minnesota Timberwolves, but they definitely are playing better collective ball as a complete unit. They kind of remind me where the Denver Nuggets were last year, playing very good ball, team ball, and moving the ball very well.
Right.
Minnesota's right behind them, and Denver's right behind them as well, all tied with 47. They just have both of those, Minnesota and Denver, have 21 losses. The Thunder have 20 losses. Those two teams are tough, but I'm not sure about the rest of this Western Conference, to be honest with you. Denver is not who they used to be, last year at least. Everything from 4, 5, and 6 is a toss-up. You got
I'm looking at it right now too.
The stepchildren, the Pelicans, and the Sacramento Queens. Yeah. I'm not sure if that's a strong 4 or strong 3 or a strong 3, 4, 5, and 6 team right there. I think the East is a lot stronger in their bracket.
Yeah, from what I'm looking at the standings, it's like, everybody in the West after the 4th seed is close, and then right there on the top from the 4th seed on the way in, it's like they're close too. So it's like the ones that so it's like a 4-way tie with like the last 4 or with the bottom 4, and it's like a 3-way tie with the top 3. So you know it's real close, but you know the Eastern Conference, you know, you have Boston just taking their baton and just running away with the whole pack, you know, and the way I see it, you know, Boston will be that team, of course, you know, for them to you know, for everybody to mess with and everybody to play against. But when it comes to the West, man, Denver still has that edge to me. I believe that Denver has an edge because of the simple fact that Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Jokic are down there in the paint. Like the paint presence is going to be huge for them. And as far as you got KCP and Jamal Murray at the top running the point guard, that's really that's totally unbeatable if you ask me. Like in a 7-game series, you know, it'll be tough. And you know, you still can't count out Minnesota because of the way that they play. I mean, you seen what they did last season. I mean, they got to the playoffs. You know, Pat Bev and them, you know, act like it was like their championship. So the Timberwolves can make some noise. You know, they can make some noise. But but just coming out of the West, man, it looks like the Lakers and Golden State will be playing for the first round of that play-in tournament, man. It's looking like it's set.
And we'll get to the Lakers.
Okay.
With the Boston Celtics, are they simply unstoppable, man? I mean, everything they've got here, they've beaten those guys. And I don't really see a team on the Eastern side that's really stacked like they are. I think that it's basically their tournament to lose.
Yeah, it is. I would also like to add too with that. You know, the way Boston is playing right now, like they are collectively beating teams at a larger margin as well on the Eastern Conference. So, you know, but they can suffer tough losses though when they lose.
Yeah.
So that's another thing too. Once they start to play and they get that competition, you know, the level of competition gets back to their, you know, back in their face, and they start to, you know, try to weather the storm. It could be tough for them in this long run. So you are correct about that. It is theirs to lose if one of those games where Jaylen Brown, you know, doesn't have that, you know, that double game, or you know, Tatum doesn't go for 30, you know, and you know, you have Porzingis going for a double, or you know, just things like that. If something goes down with one of those players, you know, it's really tough for them to get back, because that's the nucleus: Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Porzingis. Like those 3 right there, we're gonna get them. And you still got a Horford off the bench.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. And you know, the way that he can, you know, shine off of there, because he's still a vet. But it'll definitely be it'll definitely be a interesting series depending on who plays them the first round.
Right. And I'll throw that back up there for you guys so you guys can see the ladder as it stands today. You know, the Bucks have a good team. I like Dame time over there. My problem is, though, and we talked about this the last time you were on, I don't trust Doc Rivers, man. I just can't.
Yeah.
He hasn't proven it. And when you look at how things may lock up, they would either get the Pacers, though they would either get the Heat if the Heat win, they go to the 7th seed.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, obviously, if the Pacers play, then they would have another play-in game, and then that winner would go, you know, to that 8th seed. I don't trust what I'm seeing when it has anything to do with Doc Rivers. I like the team overall. I just wish the coach was different.
Yeah, yeah. Mainly that's the problem with me too, as far as that team. Yeah, that Doc seems to be fading away in his coaching ability and availability to reach the players he has. It's really tough for Giannis and Dame and Brooke and them to get in the mix with it. But they're gonna have to just treat that team like the Lakers and Frank Vogel that year when they just wanted the championship, because the way Vogel was teaching, defense was good, and his intensity, was probably at a minimum, but the players that the Bucks have, Portis, they got their role players, Portis, they got Middleton, all those guys, like they'll collectively get it done because of the way that they showed it, even when they won their first title. Like if they're hungry enough, this team is hungry enough, and if Dame, is going to be at their side, and if he's hungry enough, it could be all about the Bucks and not Doc.
That's true. I can see that because they do have the talent.
Right.
Now, my question is, when we look at the Los Angeles Lakers and we're seeing where they're at, Golden State is at 10 right now. The Lakers are 9. The Suns are 8. The Dallas Mavericks are 7. My problem with the Lakers is that, yes, we are seeing nice numbers from the one King James. The problem is, though, is his stats don't really impact the Lakers winning in most cases. When are we going to start seeing those stats make an impact?
I would say it's going to be during the playoff or play-in. Whenever they get to the point where it's do or die time, and it's really like that win or go home mentality, the switch will get turned on, man, because you've seen in the past, LeBron gears up for playoffs. When it's playoffs, he's full speed ahead. So the stats that he's getting now, it is solely for a spot in the play-in, but I think they'll really start to make an impact towards those play-in games and like getting towards the playoff, because you have to remember this. If the Denver Nuggets get that first seed, Lakers is playing them first round if they get the 8th. So we're right back to where we started from last year. So it's going to be a telltale. So LeBron, it's when it comes to it, he may have to take a backseat role because of his how you say inconsistency with scoring. So you have D'Lo, he can at times be inconsistent as well. We have to have a sense of consistency when it comes to these last few games, and when it comes to availability for AD as well, he has to step up and get big, pause, and play the best games of his career. Now, back to Bron, it's the way he goes out this year is going to tell everyone or should give everybody an indication of where he's going to be for next season.
I agree. I also think too, though, this isn't the time where adding more games to a playoff series is what you want to do. He's up in age, and adding games is not really the thing I think is going to be the best route for the Lakers. And if they end up drawing Denver again, the issues are still the same.
It could be a sweep.
Yes, because the problem with them is the Lakers guarding the perimeter, and LeBron is the liability because he cannot run out to the edge quick enough with this pick and roll. He becomes the liability. And I don't think that's the best path. I don't think that's the best path for the Lakers at all.
Yeah, I've also I've seen that with Bron, when he his rotations aren't the best. When he gets to those pick and roll situations, like he'll slack off and he'll definitely show signs of fatigue or just signs of just mental defense is just like, all right, I'm gonna just take this play off. You know what I mean? Like it's more or less with that now with him. Like he pick and chooses the pace that he chooses to run. So
right.
They will get beat, especially in pick and roll. They will get beat in pick and roll for sure when it comes to those critical parts of the game. It just all has to come down to who wants it more, man. LeBron knows what's at stake, and you see when he does lock people up, he locks you up.
He locks you up.
They'll he plays defense. You know what I'm saying? It's all a mentality thing with defense. If you want to stop that person in front of you, you're gonna do it. You're gonna do whatever it takes. So yeah. Hopefully that the coaches are probably gonna get that going early in these few games that are going to be critical because they know where they can be effective at and they know where LeBron and the rest of the team lack in defense.
Yeah. 13 games left, ladies and gentlemen, in the NBA season. It's going to get even more and more ramped up as we get closer to the playoffs. This is the time when I start watching. So because this is the time when the NBA starts to get good. So I'm looking forward to seeing how all this stuff shakes out here. And again, I'll let you guys see this one more time. This is your playoff bracket as it stands as of tonight. Obviously, there will be games going on this week, and this thing will switch and change and move around a little bit. But this is the bracket as it stands tonight. So if your team is in this thing, this is where you guys sit and who you would be playing if the season were to end today. Now, let's switch gears to the NFL, where it seems, as I said earlier in the show, that certain player positions are more valued all of a sudden than they once were. Players are moving to other teams, and big name players moving to other teams. Who do you think, in your mind, really did an excellent job and kind of were one of the winners of this free agency?
On paper?
On paper.
It's going to have to be Philly, man. To me, it's going to have to be Philly. They added Saquon, and they added some players from on the defensive end. I think it was one of the players from what is that? One of the linebackers from you know the name.
Devin White.
There he is, Devin White. Yeah. He went to there, and and just as far as also too, you can't even forget about the Steelers. They made with their quarterback moves.
Yes.
Tomlin knows what he's doing over there. He's very smart and articulate when it comes to his offense and how he wants to run his his team. But from there, man, it looks like Philly did. And also too, you gotta give props to what Washington is doing, man. Dan Quinn, he knows what he wants. Shouts out to Quinn. Y'all looking like the Washington Cowbanders right now. But I like the move because you got the players know what teams they want to play for. The coaches know what players they want to go get, in free agency.
Yes.
So the only thing that I do see that may have come crashing down is that Philly has Kellen Moore as an offensive coordinator.
Oh yeah. Don't get it twisted now.
That's why the backdraft of this whole thing is that you grabbed one of the highest rushing yard running backs in the game. You have not Hall of Fame, but you have Pro Bowl status in the wide receiver position and the quarterback position. You have C.J. Gardner-Johnson back.
Yes.
So like a lot of things, and then you go get Kellen Moore.
Yeah, I don't like that move. I didn't like it from day one. Ask the Chargers, ask the Cowboys.
Yeah. And look, and there's one thing I do want to add to with this. I know our team didn't do anything in the free agency. I know we never do. But looking through over these years and seeing how every team besides us made moves to better their organization, we still beat them with the players that we had. Like, I'm really thinking about that now. Jerry being
that can't be denied.
Right. I mean, that's the only one we didn't beat was the Niners.
Yep.
but Jerry and Steven, they believe in their players so much to where, the core that we have and like the players that they draft can go out there and get it done, and I have to think about it. We don't do any moves in the free agent. Once the free agent, season comes, we don't make any moves. And then when the season comes, we still are able to beat those teams that made moves.
Yeah, I will give them that. There's one thing that has been a staple with the Dallas Cowboys, and that has been their draft. They hit more than they missed, that's for sure. And that really, you look around the division. In that particular division there, the NFC East, they hit more on their draft picks than any other team in that division, and they do it repeatedly. It explains why their offensive line play has been good for as long as it has been. It explains why their linebacking core, along with the defensive front, has been as good as it has been over the years. Is because they don't miss, and not so much in the first and second round. It's those third, fourth, fifth round picks, and I'll give them props on these undrafted free agents. They just do a very good job at hitting on the late round things, and that's where your meat and potatoes are. Everybody looks at round one and round two, but it's you can't continue to miss on third, fourth, and fifth round players. Ask Washington how many times they've missed over the years on the back half of their draft. And you can say really some of that on the front half of the draft as well. But yeah, I agree with you on that. I don't think Tony Pollard was that big of a loss. I don't think at this point he was fitting the offense, and they weren't willing to overpay. Sadly, he was a cap casualty.
Right.
It's just something that had to be done. Some of these other guys that have been picked up from Dan Quinn partly are cap casualties. But they also are not they're not frontline players, or they haven't had the opportunity to be. But they are guys that can come in and round out your defense. And maybe they can be the starting guy. But Dallas seems to do a good job of plugging those people back in, in that regard. You talk about Philly. A lot of good things added. Burks as far as the linebacking core, Braun. We talked about Devin White. I like a lot of things that they've done. They've got an offensive lineman in Hennessy. I thought that was a good pickup. Landon Dickerson as well. The problem is, though, is I can't trust. You went from the penthouse because guy had one bad year in Brian Johnson, and you go to the outhouse with a guy that hasn't proven anything since he's left Dallas. And even in Dallas, he was their liability because he wouldn't run the ball when he should have been running the ball. He wanted to be throwing it all over the yard. And I don't see this helping. Don't get me wrong. They've got some tremendous weapons in Philly on the outside.
They do.
But you've got to run the football. And in this division, as you see the Redskins Commanders get a defense. Dallas will still have a defense. And the Giants still have a defense. They ain't got no quarterback, but they got a defense. So that ain't going to go well in the division doing what Kellen Moore does. And if we go back and look at what he did with a stellar quarterback in Justin Herbert, he made him look average with that play calling that he was doing over there.
It was atrocious, man. It was very atrocious. One thing I do want to add too, also that Al Harris got promoted to the defensive. For assistant head coach for the Cowboys. That was probably the best move I think they did this year.
Was Washington wanted Al Harris.
Right, right. So
they wanted Al
Harris. You gotta remember, we still have a nice defensive back core, man.
Yes,
we got Bland coming back. We got Diz coming back
My
off
cousin.
Hey, I was gonna ask you, man. Is it?
No, he's not. But since he carried that last name, yes, he is.
Hey, man. Hey, I ain't gonna lie, man. Shoot, I claim Harrison Barnes sometimes.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, but back to what Dan Quinn was doing over there and the players he picked up, and looking back at the players we lost that Dallas lost, they were mainly cap casualties. Like they weren't really like major dents. The only one that was Tyron Smith.
Yes.
That was a major dent. But we did replace him. We picked up Tyler Smith in the draft. So that's a piece to be moved if they can. Because you know how Dallas likes to play the round robin, the musical chairs with the linemen. They'll go here and here. So, I think we'll be all right with the offensive line. But our running backs we need some running backs. We went to go grab we grabbed Eric Kendricks from the Vikings for a linebacker position because LVE retired.
And that's a good pickup.
So that's a very good pickup. Is a very very good sound linebacker from the Vikings, and he was a Zimmerman. Mike Zimmer was a defensive coordinator over there in Minnesota. So it's just gonna be. It's going to be one of those divisions again where it's going to be one to reckon with because NFC East makes so many key moves and they add so many, playmakers and like so many superstars in their division. So it's going to be tough, but interesting as well.
Yeah. Before I touch on the Steelers, the Kansas City Chiefs made some moves that they needed to make. Getting a guy, Irv Smith, signing him to a one-year deal is a thing that can help out, kind of balance out that tight end room. But Marquise Brown is a very underrated pickup for a team that really got a lot done, in winning a championship with a bunch of no names outside of Rice, who started to make a name for himself.
Right.
I love the Drew Tranquil sign. I've always been a fan of him. He's kind of reminds me, he's not a Bobby Wagner, but he plays ball in that sense where he's a sure tackler. He's always where he's supposed to be and always looking to make a play. That Brown signing, though, really helps them out. Now, this draft is loaded with wide receivers, but that's going to be huge for them. And I think it's a great place for Marquise to revive his career a little bit.
Oh yeah, most definitely, especially having a quarterback like Mahomes. He'll definitely get him in tune with the offense quick. Still have Andy Reid there being a mastermind behind all of that with the offense. You put those two heads together, and then you got Hollywood Brown. Now you have a receiver. You have a tight end, of course, with Kelsey still got the running game. So their core of offense is going to be it may be hard to stop.
Yeah,
it may be hard to stop because you added another receiver along with the ones you had.
Yeah,
and did they you said did Scantling get released and they added
MVS?
Hollywood?
MVS is gone.
Yeah, so they added Hollywood. Okay.
Yes.
So, but they still got Rasheen.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's Rasheen and Hollywood is nice, and then you Isaiah Pacheco, man, he run like he mad at the ground, so he'll be all right.
And watch out for a guy in Watson. That young kid is going to be a great slot receiver for them. You saw him make plays throughout the year. He made a few plays in the Super Bowl, but I think he's going to be the next person to step up on that wide receiver core in the slot position and really helped them out. He's a sure-handed guy. He runs very good routes. He's going to be the guy. He's going to be the outlet at times. That's going to make some of those must-have type plays. Houston did something big too. And I know, guys, we're running a little longer than we normally do, but this is all good stuff. So we're going to keep it rolling here for a little while longer. Joe Mixon, that signing, Noah Brown, they were able to keep Dalton Schultz, who I love. I felt Dallas should have never let him go. They added pieces to their defense.
That's another story with him, man.
Yeah.
You can't just leave the team and talk about it like that when you leave. It's like you gotta be just like Kobe says when you play for the Lakers, man. You gotta be a special type of player. Like the lights, if the lights is too big for you, then this not for you. It's like you gotta be able to, when them lights come on, it's showtime and you ready to play. Just come out and play. You know, you lead the organization and say what you say. Nah, that means you wasn't built to be you wasn't built to be a Dallas Cowboy, man. But the Texans, they actually got some good additions when they what was the name you just said they just grabbed?
They get Joe Mixon.
At
running back.
Yeah. And
Big
then
deal.
you add, and then when you got Tank Dell coming back, like that could be a strong offense.
Oh yeah. I love everything about it. Their defensive signings, being able to sign Tim Settle, a guy who I really liked when he was in Washington. They've kept a lot of their guys at the cornerback position and at the safety position. That helping the offense out. They got that thing with Heck signed as an offensive tackle. That's always important. This team's loaded to go and make another run and try to take it a little further next year with the team that they've assembled, and adding a nice piece that at running back that can consistently run between the tackles.
Yeah. And now the scene they had Austin Eckler too.
Washington got Austin Eckler. No, Austin Eckler went to Washington.
Oh, okay. That was that. All right.
Yep. Now, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. I'm gonna get that Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin knows what he's doing. I really, everybody's mad about what Justin Fields drew, but I think when you look at a lot of the quarterbacks that moved, they didn't move for big picks. And it was very clear that with it, don't get me wrong, the way things got handled and his play, to me, is a reflection of a franchise that just didn't have everything together for this man to succeed. And I think it was the right thing of moving him. Will they do the right thing in the draft is yet to be seen. You know, teams like that have the tendency to have everything right there in front of them, and they tend to piss down their leg when the moment is big and they need to make the right decision. But Mike Tomlin did an excellent job here. I know Russ thought he was going to be the sole guy there, but I think you give yourself an insurance policy, and I also think you give yourself a guy that can be a long-term quarterback in Justin Fields. I think this is the right situation for him. He doesn't have to start if he doesn't want to, but I don't think if Russ comes out and is Russ midway through the season, Justin Fields is coming out. He won't be sitting for a year because we know Russ can be a little bit iffy. That addition of Patrick Queen is huge for a defense that really played well despite not having any offensive help.
Yeah, that was I was actually gonna mention that too, as far as the offensive side of it with Justin Fields. The way that Tomlin went about it was very, very genius to me. You know, like it was very tactical, very thought out, you know, and knowing knowing what the Bears were looking to do, Tomlin was able to pick those pieces up at the right time. With Russell Wilson, having been let go and just signing him to 1 year, that makes perfect sense.
It does.
Everyone said that same thing when they grabbed Justin Fields. Like Tomlin knows what he's doing, because in the end, the Steelers still have top. I say top 15 receivers. You got Pickens on his
and
way.
They added Van Jefferson.
And you added Van Jefferson. So those are second tier receivers, but they're on their. You can put Pickens on his way up there, just right under there, slowly under there. So.
Right.
The way that the offense may look, and you still got Najee Harris in the running back position. And that's just going to be something that I think Tomlin can be successful at. And that defensive side, you add Patrick Queen in there in that linebacker core, like I'm telling you, man. Something about a line, man. You gotta have a head busting linebacker. Like you just have to. Like every defense has one. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got Minka Fitzpatrick down back there being playing safety. Then you have Queen that you just added, and then their defensive backs they're not that bad. Is Willie Gay still out there? Is that on the defense?
I am not sure. They did add Dante Jackson though from
Deontay.
They acquired him in a trade with the Carolina Panthers. I like that pickup as well.
Deontay
with
Johnson.
The linebacker in the front seven, you don't really need to have great corners. You just need to have guys that can stay on their man for the given period of time, because they're not going to have to cover more than 7 seconds, because your front line is going to get there and be disruptive with that front seven that they have.
Right. That's something that the Steelers was always, I would think that they would always be, thriving off of, is that, making that stop, you know what I'm saying? And then going downfield and capitalizing off of that, because you have players who can turn the ball over for you.
Yeah. I'm going to close it out with you talking about the draft. And when I look at the draft and I look at these quarterbacks, I see a lot of fans talk about how, these number one or top tier quarterbacks don't always pan out. Well, for once in a year that teams that need quarterbacks at the top of the draft, these teams actually have an offensive line and weapons that the quarterback can work with. They're not going to a team like Bryce Young went to, where the cupboard was completely bare. Now, when you look at the one who's picking at number one, the Bears, your front office is a little in question. But when you go to the number two pick, you have a new competent front office with a real GM and coaching staff all working together, looking like a team is supposed to and how they're supposed to operate. What are your feelings on the success of some of these quarterbacks as they may get drafted by some of these teams? They're good situations. If I'm a young quarterback, there's a lot of good situations that I could be drafted into.
Yeah, I was having some thoughts about that, about the draft class with the quarterbacks this year, because it's not too wowing right now. Like, it's not too exciting. You got about 5 that you can probably hand a first round pick to, or first or second round pick to. But I would just say, go out there, show them your ability, and just be ready for anything, because they're gonna, now this day and age with, these hot topics and like these shock value comments and things like that, like people are going to say things, they're going to just throw random things at you, and like they just got to be ready for that, man, because this this draft class for sure they're going to be looking at it because of number one, you got Caleb Williams coming out and he's highly recruited. Luke was that not Luke May's brother from North Carolina. I always call him Luke May. Yeah, Drake May. All right, I know why Luke because his brother played for the. All right, yeah. Drake May. You know, I always have my thoughts about quarterbacks who don't look like me. They're in the league, and you know, the way that they give those types of accolades and those type of props to those type of players when the ability you saw in their game isn't like a Jaden Daniels. It isn't like an Anthony Richardson. You know, it isn't like any of the, you know, it's like, but the way
Michael
that
Penix is a sleeper to me.
Huh?
Michael Penix Jr. is a sleeper to
me.
Penix
is another one. Penix going to be a super sleeper. And shouts out to him because he left-handed. Southpaw game. Throw away. Yeah, he's dope. I like it just looks better when the left-handed quarterback throw the ball. It just so sweet. But yeah, Penix is a sleeper. Jaden Daniels, of course, is going to be drafted high. Caleb's going to be drafted high. But the way that they're putting Luke May above a few of these quarterbacks, not Luke, but Drake in front of these quarterbacks, it's like, all right, man, we're just gonna see. You know, we'll have to just see if the proof in the pudding. You know, because Jaden Daniels, we know his ability, and we know we've seen those games. You know, Penix, we saw those games. Caleb Williams, you know, we saw those games. Drake May didn't. I mean, that the ACC really didn't have games to where like Luke had to do too much.
Yeah,
I mean, you see games to where, you know, of course, he showed Heisman Trophy candidate ability and number one pick ability, but the proof in the pudding when it comes to other talent that's around. So yeah, with these players, man, just, you know, they just got to be ready. I just know, and just shine when the moment is there.
I agree. I agree with your sentiment on Drake May. We had this conversation earlier. You know, he has all the intangibles. You know, I like his ability in the pocket. My biggest problem is that when you can slice and dice the tape however you want to between Jaden, Caleb, and Drake. But my biggest problem is that I can't have a quarterback that repeatedly missed deep balls to wide open receivers. The simple throw back shoulder on a first down for 4 yards, you throw Donovan McNabb dirt ball and it's not accurate. I can't have those. I can't have those types of things. Are those things something that can be coached up? Absolutely. But if I'm Washington, if I'm Chicago, I really do like what I see in Caleb and Jaden, and I think there's a well-roundedness between Jaden provides he gives me an RG3 vibe. Very quick, very good straight line speed, has a very crisp deep ball. You know, he does a little bit some things better than Griffin III used to do, but you know, coming out of Baylor. But I do like the intangibles that he brings. Like I said, I think Michael Penix Jr. is not getting enough run. The guy just wins. He does throw very well. He does have that mobility, but he is more of a guy that takes a little bit longer to break the pocket. Like he will stand in there, kind of like you've seen Lamar Jackson do, not comparing him to Lamar, but like you've seen Lamar Jackson do. You know, I hear people talking about Bo Nix, and I'm like, you can pick him if you want to, but I wouldn't pick him over Penix Jr. I definitely wouldn't pick him over him. You know, like I said, Drake May is not terrible. There are things that can be worked with, but I don't like missing open wide receivers when your man has beat that man by 5 yards, and you threw
you gotta let that go
5 yards too long.
You have to let that football come out your hands, man. Like take that risk, and the risk taking factor you can see in Penix and you can see in Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels, he'll just run and just, get that first down. Like there's no, as far as risk taking him throwing the ball, he doesn't do that. He'll get that on your feet.
Right.
But Penix and Caleb will throw that ball. Like they're gonna toss it. So you are 100% accurate when it comes to that as far as Drake, and that can always be cleaned up during football season. They get the reps in, and I just hope that those quarterbacks can evolve and it excels their game and not brings it down.
Yeah, that's that. I think they're all going to be in good positions. Like I said, this is a very unusual draft. A lot of teams at the top made a lot of good moves to kind of help stabilize some areas where they were weak. And when bringing in a young quarterback, now they're not coming into a team that has absolutely nothing, and they are it. Kind of like Justin Fields going to the Bears. There was nothing in the cupboard with Chicago on offense, period. You look at Carolina, I'll even say in the early days of Arizona, wasn't a whole lot in the cupboard for a guy like Kyler Murray. These teams at the top of the draft really are not teams with a bare cupboard. You can come in and your quarterback can actually have some success being able to kind of grow and, compete, let's just say.
Right. Gotcha.
Well,
got it, man.
Let everybody know where they can follow you at, my brother.
Yo, man, you can follow me on Instagram and IG. It's Timmy B. You can see it on the header. And Facebook, I don't really do too much, but man, IG and Twitter, you can find me, man. Of course, my whole full name will be on Instagram. On Facebook, but find me on Instagram, man. It's Timmy B. Twitter, it's Timmy B. Got my shirts, man. Follow my shirts, clothing line, sometimes tees. Sometimes T-shirts on Instagram, and I'll plug in everybody with that, and let everybody know what I'm doing. But once again, DJ, man, thank you, man, for the opportunity, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, man. It's been, you see where I'm at, man. So this is gonna be something. I'm setting it up. I'm getting it ready for me, man. So it's gonna be something for you to tap into for the summer, man.
I love it. I appreciate you taking the time, my man. And as I always say, it won't be the last.
Oh yeah, it will not be the last, man. I'm once I get things going, the favor is gonna get returned for sure, bro. You already know.
Yes, sir. All right, Timmy. I'll see you later.
Man.
Appreciate you, man. What a show! And I appreciate you guys hanging in there. We usually don't go this long at all. But we just had so many great things going on with sports, with the NFL, with the NBA, the draft. It's just so many things going on right now, and we're having great conversations. So I hope you guys enjoyed that aspect of it. No, but there is a race that will be going on in Pomona, California, the Winter Nationals. Not in the winter, but okay. The In-N-Out Burger Winter Nationals. I believe it's the Winter Nationals, or it's by In-N-Out Burger, but whatever. They will be there in Pomona this weekend. This is week 2 of the NHRA season. You will have Pro Stock, Top Fuel, and Funny Car. No Pro Stock bike until Charlotte 4 wide. I hate it. That's a long layover after coming out in week 1. I don't like it at all. If you're not part of Drag Race Bracket Bonanza, I forgot to put the ticker on, but maybe you can see the ticker now. In the ticker is our code to Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. Join us. You get to pick your drivers of who's going to win after qualifying on Saturday, and you win prizes. going to be fun. It's only 1 week, so you're not late. Again, thank you all for tuning in to the show. This has been provided by sportsjourney.com. I'm Dujane Bland. We will see you next Tuesday as we will have Pro Stock driver Kelly Murphy on the show of the Elite Motorsports group. All right? So join us then. Again, thank you. Good night.